Good evening. I hope everybody can hear me. I know I had some technical issues uh, like a few streams ago. Hopefully, those are not continuing right now. Um, so, yeah, I didn't get to stream last week. This weather, I have like allergy issues. So, unfortunately, they all go straight to my sinuses. And yeah, I have that fun time. I hope none of y'all are also sufferers of that as well. Anyway, there's been a lot in the news here lately that I'm going to cover. I'm not going to cover everything. There's too much to cover. I've said this. I say this every stream. Whenever Donald Trump is going to take over, it's not going to be boring. There's going to be constant news. There's going to be so much going on. And so, um, yeah, we'll just cover what we can. We will cover what we can and discuss some interesting things that I feel are pertinent as a libertarian. So, as we all know, we bombed Iran. My personal feelings are that we got brought into it. We shouldn't have got brought into it. I personally feel like it was probably bad intel. And it seems like Trump is really wanting peace, which is great. I want peace as well, because every time there is a war, we get involved because we're like sharks with blood in the water. We have to get our military industrial complex involved because we're like the source of it. So anyway, we bombed about 3 sites in Iran, and Israel was still consistently bombing. Iran, of course, retaliated to Israel. They did warn us, the United States, that they were going to send some missiles towards one of our bases in Qatar. Well, because of that, there were no casualties. There were no casualties from our bombs, and there's no casualty from theirs. So I feel like that was good faith. It's kind of hard to say good faith with any kind of bombing, but it was definitely a move that showed that they don't want war with us, because they wanted to show that, hey, I'm not just let you bomb us, bomb back, but they, didn't want casualties. They warned ahead of time, at least. So this was good on them. Anyway, so as I was saying, Trump wants peace. He said he's a president for peace. Of course, the bombing of Iran was not peaceful, but I digress. So he announced on True Social that he got a ceasefire agreement with Israel within 24 hours, Iran within 12 hours or something like that. And as soon as that was released, as soon as that supposed deal, which Iran said there was no deal, as soon as that deal came about, apparently they both just upped their bombs. They just did. Like, they're just trying to get all their licks in right after the so-called ceasefire. So I'm sorry. It's not funny, but it's also kind of funny, because there's this supposed ceasefire going to happen, and then they just elevate everything. Like, try to get it all out of their system. Well, they don't get it out of their system. They don't. When the ceasefire was supposed to start, they kept going and going and going. And let's see. It was mostly peaceful. Yeah, I just had to bring that up. Yes, our bombing was mostly peaceful, because that's what we do in the United States. All of our violence is mostly peaceful here. All right, so being that both countries did not honor this ceasefire that they were, agreeing to or supposed to take part in, it really, how do I say this, ticked off President Trump, because he's really doing all he can. And I applaud him for that, at least, for trying to go for peace. I still agree with the bombings, whatever you want to think about it. But he is trying to go for peace. And he got that and he let his feelings be known. So I want to share this video, and I'm sure you've seen it a million times. All the news sites are clutching their pearls over it, but the media and journalists are a bunch of degenerates anyway, so I don't know why they're clutching. Let's pull this up.
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too. Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
I'm sorry. I love that. I love how uncouth he is. That's just me, because I love that sort of thing. So he's obviously very ticked off about that. Now, I did hear that there is a ceasefire that's holding. I don't know how much proof there or substance there is about that, but I did hear that there's some ceasefire holding. We'll see. I highly doubt that, and if there is, it's not going to last. I think Israel is determined to take down Iran and regime change. And Trump said he wanted regime change, and he said he didn't want regime change. You know, he's kind of flip-flopped on that. But I think when it comes down to it, he really doesn't want regime change, because that, he even said that causes chaos, or that's chaotic to do that, which it is. We replaced the Taliban with the Taliban, and now I believe an ISIS group is now running Syria. So, we shouldn't strive for regime change. It's not our business to begin with. But regime change would not be a good thing. Unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because I know how some people are treated there, especially women. I'm as a woman, of course, I'm not a fan how they treat their women there. But it's not our fight. Maybe one day the people rise up, overthrow. I did hear that, some of the people are very disgruntled over there. Things are not great in their society over there right now. So maybe they'll do that themselves. Leave it to them. That's their thing. Okay. So that's I think that's kind of the war that's really being focused on right now. Yes, believe it or not, Ukraine is still going on. Ukraine and Russia are still duking it out. We don't hear as much from them. Now, Russia recently did, I believe they struck Ukraine and killed a couple more people. And, loss of life is absolutely terrible. I do wish there was a ceasefire in that one. However, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Because Zelensky did meet with Trump whenever he was at the NATO meeting. And, I think he didn't quite get what he needed. I think he really wanted Trump to come back to the table and give him what he's used to getting, what he's wanted to get. But the funny thing about that is he actually wore a suit. He wore a suit to meet with Trump this time. And I think he was really trying to show off for Daddy Trump. Like, Dad, can I have some more? I need my allowance up. But NATO seems to be funding the whole Ukraine thing. And who funds NATO? Yeah, I'll give you one guess on who does most of the NATO funding. Although Trump did manage to up, I believe, from 2% to 5%. That's not a lot, though. It's really not. We fund NATO way too much for my liking. I think personally, I think we need to pull out of NATO. I think NATO, it served its purpose, and I think that we should just back out. We have no business in NATO anymore. It's funny to see the left-wing feminists support a country that jails women for TikTok dances now. Yeah, and here's the thing that is so wild about that. Like, you have Queers for Palestine, you have women that are uh, supporting Iran, who are ardent feminists. And the thing is that they are so, how do you say it? They're so spoiled and sheltered. Sheltered's the word. They're so sheltered in this country that what they think they see as injustice here, they can't fathom that there's anything worse, although there is much worse. So to them, they see this country is just as bad or even worse. No, that they haven't experienced anything as nearly as bad as what the women in Iran experience. So they throw their support behind it because they don't think it's either that bad or they don't think it's a thing. But the thing is that a lot of these activists, like for the Gaza activists, for example, went to Egypt recently and they FAFO'd because the Egyptians would not let them through to Gaza. The thing is that a lot of people, I get they want to be activists, I get they want something to be passionate about. However, there are some matters that they just don't understand. Cultures and how people treat each other is not the same as they feel it should be or they think it is. Because these cultures, they've been around thousands of years or even longer. And a lot of them aren't going to change. They're just not. But we have changed so much in our society that they can't really fathom anything else. So, in their ivory towers, they think that they're oppressed. But when there's somebody else is actually oppressed, they just can't fathom it. They just can't. So, yeah, the fact that they're jailing women for TikTok dances and they jail women for not wearing their cover. It is the wildest thing to me. And I think part of this is because it's the savior complex of some of these people. In some ways, it's bigotry of low expectations and just sheer ignorance. Absolute ignorance of people who are championing these countries and cultures that treat their people as lesser and are very oppressive. Real oppression. We don't have real oppression in this country. Society is one thing compared to legally speaking. Legally speaking, there is no oppression. Societally, people have their judgments, and there's judgy people. That's it. There's judgy people everywhere. Freest nation on earth, even though we do have our issues, we still have judgy people here. You can't try to make legal change for people that are judgy. That's just the worst caring thing ever. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. I'm getting on my little soapbox here. Because I can go on and on about how those people have they see the world through rose-colored glasses and they just don't understand how real oppression is. All these wannabe handmaids. Let's see. The Iranian people have more than enough reason to hate the West without Muslim extremists. They were a copy of SA in Egypt back in 1949. Why did we arrest their president in a coup? Yeah, that's another one of those things where we have a three-letter agency that has done more harm than good. Especially all of the three-letter agencies do more harm than good. And that particular three-letter agency does a lot of harm globally. But I don't think it's going anywhere, unfortunately. All right, yeah, but they do. We've cooed so many countries, it's disgusting. All right, so moving on. What am I yawning here? I'm sorry. I'm tired. Let's get some water here. So there is something I do want to talk about. Besides like Iran and Trump. Actually, there's nothing to do with Trump. So if you know me, if you follow me, you know that I am a huge fan of House Rep Thomas Massie. If you don't understand political ideology and political party, you might get it, you might not. So you know how they say conservative Republican, okay? Massie is a libertarian Republican. Ideology before party. He's not conservative, he is libertarian. So he's like the sole libertarian Republican in Congress. Well, I don't know. I could probably count Rand Paul as one. But anyway, yeah, because the son of this beautiful man right here. Anyway, so as a libertarian, of course, I'm going to parade behind the ideological libertarian in the House. Massie has been very consistent. A lot of his critics try to criticize him for not having any bills passed or whatnot, or how he votes. But the thing is that he seems to be the only person in Congress that actually reads the bills. If a bill sucks, if there's something in the bill that he doesn't like, that is terrible, he's going to vote no. Even if there's something great in it. That's just the thing is that he's not going to trade off for something bad that's not going to be beneficial for the nation. And, just to try to get something good. And in fact, he's actually proposed, lots of great ideas to break up these big bills and vote on them separately. They don't, because that's how they get their pork passed. These guys want their pork passed. Because the thing is that they have all their donors, they have all their lobbyists that want something. So what they do is they stuff it in the pork. So he said with, I believe it was Theo Vaughn interview here recently, what they'll do is they'll put pay raise for soldiers in a bill. Okay, wonderful, great, yeah, pay raise for the military. But then they'll put something terrible, like a $2 million grant for, I don't know, hamsters and, whatever, hamsters for one-legged children. Just something stupid. And he'll see that. He'll actually read it. I don't know if he's specifically reading it or he has really good aides that, they break it up and then they come together. Regardless, he figures out and finds out what's in it. A lot of them vote regardless and without knowing what's in it. A lot of them did that with the Big Beautiful Bill. They just voted on it and didn't know what was all in it. So that's what Massie does. He votes by what's in the bill. Regardless if there's something good that's in it, if there's something crap, he votes no. He's been very, very consistent about that. And if he votes yes on something, he has reasons to. So he's not a contrarian. He doesn't just vote no on everything. He does vote yes on things if it's good. That's what we need. I don't know why we're, championing and parading politicians that vote yes on a bill because one good thing, but then you read the rest of the bill and it's just a nightmare. Like that Big Beautiful Bill, it's not that beautiful, okay? It's really not. Massie looked into it. There's a lot of bad things in that bill. A lot of pork that shouldn't be in there. Now, because Trump likes things to go his way, which everybody likes things to go their way, and Massie is a no for the Big Beautiful Bill. He has taken it upon himself to create his own little campaign against Massie. And as a libertarian, somebody who holds Massie very dear, that pisses me off. It does. I think most libertarians feel the same, or people who at least lean libertarian, or even like hardcore conservatives that really are conservative feel the same way. So he's on this campaign to try to get Massie primaried. Well, apparently that's definitely not the first time it's happened. I believe IPAC spent like $250,000 on trying to de-seat Massie, and it didn't work. Massie has really good constituents that make sure that he stays in place. I wish I was one of his constituents. Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm in Texas. I'm not in Kentucky. But Trump started this whole tirade trying to unseat Massie. And I'm sure IPAC has something to do with it too, because Massie is possibly the only congressman who doesn't have an IPAC person, does not receive any funds from IPAC. So that started. And I do want to show you this ad that they came up with to try to convince people that Massie's a bad guy. He's not a bad guy. He's quirky, he's funny, and he's highly intelligent. He's just an all-around good dude. I don't know how anybody can dislike him, even if you don't agree with his politics. He's a legit good dude. So this is the ad that they have come up with.
Happened to Thomas Massie. President Trump is banning sex changes on minors. Massie voted against it. President Trump is cutting taxes and saving Kentucky families $10,000. Massie voted against it. President Trump is securing our border and deporting criminal aliens. Massie voted against Trump again. And after Trump obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons program, Massie sided with Democrats and the Ayatollah. Let's fire Thomas Massie. MAGA Kentucky is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Oh, MAGA Kentucky. Ooh. Oh, he's really trying to get Kentucky involved. He's trying to get his constituents in there. Some of that, like I was just saying, they put stuff in bills that are really good just to try to get crappy stuff passed. And he's not for that crappy stuff. He's not going to vote for the crappy stuff. Somebody's got to be the parent and say no. Somebody's got to do what's right and, not always just vote with the party. And, I said earlier, even because Thomas Massie made a post about how Trump is going after him. And you have all of these MAGA Republicans on there saying, traitor, you're a traitor, you're blocking Trump's agenda, and, all this stuff, knocking him. However, those same MAGA Republicans that are just telling him, hey, just toe the party line, just vote with the party, are the same people who would be laughing at the vote blue no matter who crowd, right? But they don't see the irony in the fact that they're pushing Massie to basically vote Republican no matter what for the bills, while laughing at the vote blue no matter who. What happened to principles? What happened to having principles? It seems like Massie is the only one in the House that has any. And I'm happy at least one person in the House does. Because somebody has to. Somebody has to have the cojones in Congress. Like Rand Paul does. Rand Paul's great. But as far as the House, Massie is the only one. And Massie's very outspoken about it. But the thing is that since he does have his principles, he sticks to them. He does not sway from them. He has become a target. Now, of course, there's like a few scattered in there in the House that, do vote fairly well. Maybe not every single time, but, they vote and they vote accordingly. But Massie is always consistent all the time. Now, that ad tried to say that he was voting against banning like transgender children and voting against tax cuts. Massie is very much for tax cuts. What they don't tell you or show you is what else was in those bills. Why don't they just be honest? What else was in that bill that you say he voted no against? Because the thing is that he really has said many times that the bills need to be broken up issue by issue. So you vote on issue by issue. Now, if they were voting issue by issue and those things in the ad were true, I think, yeah, it's completely reasonable to have problems with them. However, they're not issue by issue votes. They are clumped together in these bills. And it is extremely dishonest to try to pin it on him for being actually America first, because he refuses to vote for anything that is not beneficial, anything harmful, just because there's something good in the bill. So if they would just actually vote issue by issue, I believe it would be a lot better. There would be a lot less rift, because Massie is going to flat out vote no if there's crappy stuff in the bill. So if you want to get stuff passed, stop adding a bunch of pork. Simple as that. But people have donors and lobbyists they have to please. But yeah. Like I back. But we won't go there tonight. But the thing is that Massie is actually very America first. So much so, he doesn't vote for foreign aid for anyone ever. He's an equal anti-foreign aid employer, but he's equally anti-foreign aid for everyone. Everyone. So being so pro-America is a bad thing, because I thought it was supposed to be America first, right? Well, Trump has a secretary of state. I'm actually kind of impressed with. I'm pretty impressed with Marco Rubio. I will be honest. He's kind of like blown me out of the water here. I didn't know how kind of a pick he was going to be, but he has really impressed me. But this was what Marco Rubio said here recently. I want to show you this clip, because it sounds like something Thomas Massie could or would say, because it's a very pro-America. This is my job. I'm all America, pro-America, not the world kind of thing. And it's got Trump's complete support. As you see, he's sitting right next to him and just, yeah. So this is his Secretary of State with that same attitude, or at least in the clip, he's got the same attitude that Massie always has. So I don't know why it's a problem when Massie, displays that kind of America first. But apparently it is.
Appointed by you and confirmed by the Senate to be the head of the United States Department of State. Not the World Department of State, not the Global Department of State, the United States Department of State. And what that means is our foreign policy is guided by three things. Does it make America stronger? Does it make America safer? And does it make America richer? If something doesn't do one of those three things, and hopefully all three of those things, we're not doing it. Now, we went out and hired a consulting firm to help us organize ourselves. Luckily, they were free. They're called the Department of Government Efficiency. And they helped us do a couple things. Number one is our foreign aid. We were funding some crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. You tell me, how does a puppet show in some country around the world make us stronger, safer, and more prosperous? So we got rid of puppet shows and a bunch of other things. I'm sure there were very good puppet shows, and I'm sure that a bunch of charities in the world can go pay for it, but the American taxpayer should not. We've also, by the way, Mr. President, under your direction, reorganized the Department of State. We had offices within offices within offices that didn't even know they existed themselves, not to mention the rest of it. And so we've begun to reorganize that as a way to be able to empower our embassies and our ambassadors and our regional bureaus to do what many of them signed up to do. We have a great team of ambassadors you appointed. They're coming online every single day. Very talented people. Very talented people that are involved. Something else we got out of the business of, well, it wasn't widely reported, or maybe it was. We had an office in the Department of State whose job it was to censor Americans. And by the way, I'm not going to say who it is. I'll leave it up to them. There's at least one person at this table today who had a dossier in that building of social media posts to identify them as purveyors of disinformation. We have these dossiers. We are going to be turning those over to these individuals.
We can follow up with the media.
Well, we are going to turn over these dossiers to the individuals, and they'll decide whether they want to disclose it or not. But just think about the Department of State of the United States had set up an office to monitor the social media posts and commentary of American citizens to identify them as vectors of disinformation, when we know that the best way to combat disinformation is freedom of speech and transparency.
Wow. Little Marco is now Big Marco. That was quite a passionate, I don't want performance, but quite a little passionate speech. Impromptu speech. He's displaying the same sentiments that Thomas Massie acts and behaves and votes. So you saw Trump there smiling, agreeing, like, yes, we're all pro-America. We're all about that. It's got to benefit America. It's not, if the world, we're not, paying for this across the world. We got Doge and making cuts and consolidating and downsizing the government, basically. So when Massie votes that way, with that same attitude, he's dragged. He is, criticized. They're trying to primary him, which I don't think it's going to work. But that same attitude from Marco Rubio. And Massie not only has that attitude, he votes with that attitude. Why is it such an issue for Massie to vote with that attitude that Marco Rubio was so, ecstatically proclaiming? So now it's an issue? I think that it's extremely hypocritical for this administration to have and say and display that same attitude that Marco Rubio was. He might actually hold those sentiments and behave that way. That's fine. If he does, wonderful. Like, we need that. But if this administration, Trump himself especially, is out of one side of his mouth, all America first, with all of his rhetoric about the world's got to pay their fair share. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. As far as with money, spending American taxpayers' money. And at the other side of his mouth, not talking against the bad things that are in the big beautiful bill. The things that are causing Massie to say no because they don't benefit the United States. I said at the beginning, if Trump does something I don't like, because I'm a libertarian. I'm not a conservative. I'm not Republican. I'm not even in part of the Libertarian Party, for many reasons, But anyway, party-wise, I'm independent. Ideology, I'm libertarian. I said, if Trump does something I don't like, yes, I'm going to speak out about it. I'm going to speak against it. Because nobody is above criticism. Okay, if you think anybody's above criticism, then go touch grass, because that's a cult-like behavior. This man right here, I don't think I should probably put my foot in my mouth, because I don't think there's anything that that's fallible for him. Anyway, So I'm not saying that Thomas Massie is perfect, but he's near perfect. He's the most perfect we're going to get in Congress. Someone who is consistent, someone who votes for what's in our favor. He is the parent in the room, giving us what we need, not what we want. Because what we want, or what the rest of Congress wants, they're the ones that are crying about it. They want all that pork passed. They want all the crap that they put in the bill passed. Stuff that goes beyond what is America first. Stuff that goes donors and lobbyists first. And yeah. Ron Paul is a precious gem. He really is. He is such a precious gem. He is a national treasure. And we should have listened to him a long time ago. We should always value Dr. Ron Paul and his wisdom. So, yeah, so I'm going to criticize Trump when need be. If Massie actually did something that was worth criticizing, I would criticize it. I don't think he deserves criticism for voting no on these recent bills, because apparently, according to Massie, the stuff that's actually tagged into these bills are not great. You know, there's some issues about like with AI in the bills that are written in the bills. There's, you know, other things that even Marjorie Taylor Greene has said if she knew it was in there, she wouldn't have voted yes. That's a very Pelosi kind of esque thing. It reminds me of Pelosi saying, we got to pass the bill to find out what's in it. Can we have some more responsible representatives who actually read the bills? Because her saying that, it makes me not have a lot of faith in anyone else, period. Like, not like I had any faith to begin with in anybody else in Congress. But these bills, it's their job to read and know what's in them. But they're not. Except Massie. That's why he votes according to what is in the bills. Even if there's something really good in the bill, like a tax cut, if there's something really crappy in the bill, he's gonna vote no. Because that makes sense. Yes, who doesn't want a tax cut? I would like a tax cut. You know, taxation is theft. I would like, you know, no. But they're trying with this ad to make him look like he's just a contrarian, that he's voting no on those because he doesn't believe in them. No. It has nothing to do with it. In fact, it's because of what's in the rest of the bill. And that ad is extremely dishonest. It's very hypocritical. And I will call out whenever it is. And any of these mocker Republicans that try to come in here and try to say, just vote with the party, just vote with the party. I'm going to ask them what they think about the vote blue no matter who people, because it's the same concept. It really is the same concept. You know, are we going to vote by principle or are we going to vote by party? Because last I heard, you know, they put stuff in bills that go against principles, and you vote yes on it, you're not voting with your principles. You're not voting for what's best for your constituents. I don't know. I could just go on and on about this because it makes me so angry that he is the true America first. Massie is through and through America first, not Trump. I think Trump has a lot of bad people in his ear. And, you know, I'm not orange man bad. I'm not orange man batting here. I'm giving legitimate criticism. That this is what is needed. Legitimate criticism. And unfortunately, it gets drowned out by the orange man bad people. I'm not orange man batting here. Okay? I did vote Trump. Like a lot of libertarians did. I did vote Trump. But he does deserve this criticism that he's writing this big, beautiful bill so hard, pushing it so hard. And apparently the Senate chopped it up and their parliamentarian has been doing some terrible things to it, but I digress. That he's not picking up the phone, calling Thomas Massie, who has the most consistent pro-America First voting record, and saying, what is it about this bill you don't like? And have a discussion. Rather than trying to drag the best and most consistent representative with the best libertarian principles in the House, and possibly not only angering a libertarian base who did vote Trump like myself, but losing it for any future Republicans minus Massie and Rand Paul. What he should do is call Massie. Say, what is it that you don't like in this bill? Because if Massie's the only one that reads it, he could easily tell him. And then they can fix it. But that would make sense. And I don't like, he makes these phone calls all day. I know, he's busy. He does work hard. I'll give Trump that. He works a lot and he works hard. But all it takes is one phone call. However, he wants to be petty. He wants to drag him. He wants to help get these like Kentucky MAGAs to make these ads to drag Massie and uninvite Massie and Rand Paul to the to some picnic or something. It's petty. All right. But the Democrats got to go. They're the actual contrarians. They're flat out contrarian. They vote just to be contrarians. Massie does not vote to be a contrarian. Massie votes on what's in the bill. The bill sucks, it's a no. Okay? The Democrats, it's a no because they're contrarians. It's not the same. I don't know how that needs to be explained. Explain it like you're 5 years old. Or, here's the thing. The bill's bad. I say no. Okay? You give the bill to somebody else. They don't read it. They just say no. They're just saying no. It's simple as that. There's a difference in why somebody votes the way they do. So, I know it's not going to get around. I know he's already started his campaign to try to unseat Massie. But all he should have done is pick up the phone and say, hey, Rep Massie, what is it you don't like in this bill? What do you not like? Because if Massie gets on board with the bill, then he helps with the base that is either super conservative and the base that's libertarian. Not that he needs it since it's his last term, but it really helps with his support. I know he's a big fan of his approval rating. His approval rating would continue to skyrocket if he would appease the people who really are truly American first for everything, not just a few things that are in bills to give and take. No, we want nothing bad. No, don't pass bad shit. Just don't pass it. Does a congressperson have to wipe their ass with a bad bill as a protest for it to get exposure as a bad bill? You know what? I don't know. Maybe their aides would do it because their aides like to do all the gross stuff. But yeah, I don't think that would bring attention still. Even still, I would think that they would actually have to read it and actually talk about it. America First is being fiscally conservative. I don't understand why this isn't universally accepted. I know. It should make perfect sense. It should be a no-brainer that fiscal conservatism is what we need with the debt that we have, with how the spending has skyrocketed, continues to skyrocket. You know, we have Doge. Yes, Doge did make some cuts, but did the cuts get codified? No. I did hear there's something that was recently proposed about Doge cuts. Only a few million. It's better than nothing, but it's still not enough. It's not enough. We are going to default hard on our debt, and it's going to be terrible. It's going to be like the end of the world, because the world like relies on us so much, which I got my own feelings about that, but yeah, it should be a no-brainer that fiscal conservatism would benefit the country the most, especially a country that is in such debt, extreme debt. Like, it's like, I think it's tens of thousands per citizen, and that's per citizen, not per voting citizen. So that's even more. That's adults and children. Let's see here. I haven't bought a burn permit in a decade. I have a bonfire every weekend. That's how I feel about taxes. As petty as it is, it's a small win. You know what? If it's a bonfire on your property, it's insane to need to have a burn permit. If you're keeping it contained on your property and it's not leaving your property, that's some, I don't know, dystopian thing to try to tell you what to do on your own property. Yes, you do you. You definitely do you. Yeah, don't I'm not telling you to break the law, but you know, I am not going to condemn you for this act. I won't. In fact, I think it's pretty cool. All right, let's go into some more of these comments here. But if you haven't yet, hit like and subscribe. It does help me out. You know, I would like to grow this channel. It would be wonderful. It's just me. I'm the one that does all this. But I do have a new site that is leaning more towards the alternative culture side, more so than this stream. It is of the same name. It's also called The Alternative Sovereign. It is alternativesovereign.com. Let's pull that up here. So I'm putting this out there because we do need more exposure. We have a lot of really good articles. We have some great writers that are just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And we have just some wonderful takes, reviews, you know, music artists that you may not know, that you may know. And yeah, like, give it a look. If you are a big fan of like metal, like alternative music, you know, goth music, industrial, you know, we got it all. We got it all here. And it's still a new page. So, you know, we don't have like a ton of articles. It's still really good though. And what it is music journalism from a liberty perspective. You know, you read all these other music outlets, especially things like Rolling Stone, and they lean very much left, and they input their politics into everything. When you just want to read an album review, you don't want to hear about how so and so is like ableist or whatnot. You know, that's just not what you want to read. So if that piques your interest, you know, check out alternativesovereign.com. I also would like to let's see. I also would like to show a little ad for our sponsor, today's sponsor, who is our sponsor for every stream, which is libertariangoth.com, the largest alt culture themed liberty gear on the internet. We have our true blue MAGA hats that are real parodies of the Trump MAGAs, but in black. Make America goth again. I got Make America metal again, punk again, and emo again. And for a limited time, while Trump is continuing to drag Thomas Massie, I have the I Stand With Massie shirt here. Half of the profits for this, until that whole campaign ends against Massie, will be donated to the Re-elect Massie campaign, because I do stand with Thomas Massie. Now, I do want to also point out that we have Cyberbully the Government. This is my new favorite shirt, actually. I have it myself. I've worn it a couple times. It's a good shirt, and the message is very touching. Very touching. So don't forget to cyberbully the government. Did you cyberbully the government today? Don't forget to do it daily, or not weekly, daily or hourly, actually. So if you have not cyberbullied the government today, there's still, let's see, 38 minutes left in the day. If you're Central Time, go do it. They deserve it. What are they going to do? Cry? Yeah, exactly. They deserve it. What are they going to do about it? Cry? Yeah, that's my description. Yeah. All right. So, cyberbully the government, kids. Don't cyberbully people. Cyberbully the government. Bureaucrats. They deserve it. All right. Let's see. So what did I miss? Oh, goodness. We talked about the F-bomb that Trump dropped that the media is clutching their pearls over. We talked about how Thomas Massie is truly America first and is being dragged, and they're trying to primary him, and how he votes and why he votes. We went over that. And we've gone over how Trump is applauding his own Secretary of State for having the same kind of attitude that Massie votes, which is a very pro-America first. And yeah, Massie's the original America first. I don't know if you've seen pictures. Massie actually has a sign on his door basically telling any kind of special interest groups that are for foreign nations to just basically turn around and leave, to not come in. He's not going to take your money. He's not going to do what you want. He's not going to send any kind of foreign aid to your nation. He's just not going to do it. Basically wasting your time. I think it's pretty awesome. And he actually cites some law. So does that mean that most of Congress, except him basically, are violating the law by taking all this special interest foreign money? I would say it'd be worth looking into, but they would just be investigating themselves. And we all know how that goes when anybody investigates themselves. They're going to find themselves not guilty. But it would be a wonderful pipe dream if they could hold themselves accountable for breaking that law. If there is indeed a law, I cannot cite it, but I'm sure that somebody can. Or even if he just pulled up that sign he has on his door about foreign lobbyists coming. Okay. Don't cyberbully one person, cyberbully the people. Yeah, well, bureaucrats. The ATF was definitely deserving of cyberbullying the other day. They posted something about how it's now legal to, import some sort of double-barrel gun. I don't remember exactly what it was. But it's like, Why do you even exist? You shouldn't exist. Everything in your name is legal. Alcohol is legal. Tobacco is legal. Firearms illegal. But you know what? It's still Pride Month, so it's still the ATF's month. So I shouldn't dig them too hard. I shouldn't cyberbully them too hard because this is their month to shine, in Pride Month. The Boland Amendment. It could be. I don't have that for sure, reference for sure. It definitely could be the Boland Amendment, or Boland Amendment, for that rule of law. It's also now legal for them to go. Yeah, well, if only. I think they all can. They all definitely can. Appreciate the rundown, Massie. His principle. The main issue is that there won't be enough like him to make a difference. Yes, unfortunately. Can someone who was pro-liberty, and I say pro-liberty because people I'm wanting cloned are pro-liberty. Can a pro-liberty person please clone this guy and clone Thomas Massie? You can clone his son too. His son's pretty cool. Clone them, please. Let's fill the House and the Senate with all of them. With all the ones that actually have the United States liberty and the people of this country in mind. Because our money is going elsewhere. And we're not doing so hot. It should make sense to keep your nation's money within your nation, because we have issues too. We do. We have issues. We need to address those definitely. For the real Tom Massie, please stand up. Well, all you gotta do is shout about the Klux capacitor. That was the cutest thing. The Klux capacitor. He's very smart. He's got a good sense of humor. I don't know if you don't know, Thomas Massie has like a farm, and he is an MTI grad, it's MTI. Yeah, MTI grad, and he created something called the Klux capacitor. I believe it's like a traveling hen house. That way, the chickens can stay underneath like a roof, like a little house, and encaged while still traveling the lawn. So he calls it the Klux capacitor, which is absolutely adorable. When he said that, I giggled so hard. I should have also included the video of him when he was trying to describe like inflation, like whenever you overprint money. He took one of his colleagues' sweet tea, which is about half full, and he poured water in it to show you're diluting your money. It's no longer as strong, but yet you have more of it. So he poured the water in there, and then he gave back the tea. So that was hilarious, but it was a great visual of how printing money is detrimental to the value of the dollar, because that's what we keep doing. We keep printing money, we keep spending money, and when we spend money, we have to print money, and then that devalues the dollar more, so it just creates inflation. And yeah, that's a great way to get both indoor and free range chicken. That's like a 2-in-1. That's a 2-for-1. That I think that I think he's a literal genius, and he's also just like absolutely adorable hearted in the sense where he's got a sense of humor, and he's a legit good person. So I don't see or think or know why he's treated the way he is, but I guess because DC really is a swamp and it's full of a bunch of not so good people. He's a good person in a snake pit, and unfortunately he has to deal with all that and put up with it, but he does have the strength to go up against him. And I honestly, out of all the stuff that I talk about when it comes to admiring Thomas Massie, the fact that he sticks to his principles in such a swamp like Washington, D.C., and is the one who will stand up and say, no, this is not right, and sticks to it, and has not become jaded. I think that's probably the most respectable thing ever. He has stayed a good man, stayed a principled man in the face of all of these snakes in Congress and in just DC in general. So we're coming to the end of the full hour here, but I do want to say like and subscribe. I it helps me a lot. I love doing these streams. I love chatting with y'all, giving a different kind of perspective on current events, and just kind of like talking the hot goss on the happenings of the world from a liberty perspective, from somebody who leans into the liberty perspective. So yeah, like and subscribe if you have not already. I am on Rumble, YouTube, and X. X, it is at Libertarian Goth with a 0 for the O in Goth. And on YouTube and Rumble, it's just regular Libertarian Goth. And I'm also on Instagram. It's mostly for the store, but I kind of use it also as kind of a personal one as well. So yeah, you see me on there. I'm not on Instagram as much. I'm also on TikTok at Libertarian Goth as well. But I'm also not on there that much. But thank you all for coming in and hanging out with me. I do appreciate each and every one of you. Whenever you come and say hi, or even just come watch, it means a lot because I do love doing this, and I love you all for even if you disagree with me. I appreciate it. I appreciate your audience. So, as always, I do want to say, always lead with kindness, unless they don't deserve it. And cyberbully your politicians, please. Bye.